Welcome to the Yankee and Canuck podcast, Best Picture Series, where we talk about all the Academy Award Best Pictures, past to present.
And I'm your host, a Yankee.
And I'm your host, a Canuck.
And today we're going to be talking about The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music.
Oh my goodness.
It's a 1965 picture. It won Best Film in the 38th Academy Awards. A couple of fun facts about this Academy Awards. Up for Best Picture was also Dr. Zhivago, which at that point was one of the highest grossing films of all time.
You know, Yuri Zhivago.
Yes, that is a
David Lean picture. Sharif, right?
Yeah, I've never seen
movie, actually.
I've never seen it. I'm aware Alec Guinness is in it, I think. But that's pretty much all.
Omar Sharif.
Yeah, but David Lean, it's a David Lean picture. And also, Sound of Music was the first Best Picture winner without a screenwriting nomination since Hamlet. And that would last until Titanic came out. And
hey, we'll be covering that film.
Eventually, yeah. We're a few decades away. So, yeah, when it comes to this specific film, though, in terms of the accolades, it won, of course, Best Director also, Best Film Editing, Best Scoring of Music, Best Sound. There's not as many as other previous Best Picture winners, but...
which is reasonable considering it's a musical. I mean, you can make an argument that it didn't need to win all those, but obviously music and sound, of course. And so...
I bet that'd be hilarious if it won Best Picture, but didn't win anything for score or sound design or any of that stuff. It's rigged. The mob rigged it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Sound of Music, man, it's a 3-hour film also. So it's a Julie Andrews film as well. We talked about her in the last episode, and she was originally in that picture that we talked about.
She won the Academy Award for Best Actress for Mary Poppins, and she was going to be Hepburn's role, but obviously they went with Hepburn in the last film we covered. So
yeah, My Fair Lady.
She ended up winning My Fair Lady, and so and that's because she was obviously a big Broadway star, Julie Andrews, but wasn't really a household name in film and stuff like that. So this movie really did
did wonders for reputation.
Catapulted her career, and Mary Poppins actually really was what really was her breakthrough role, right?
It really was, yeah. Because of the fact that Walt Disney personally knew her, and he saw her stuff, and he was like, I am adamant, I'm getting this woman in my picture. And at the time when he approached her, she was like, well, I'm pregnant, I don't think I could film. And Walt Disney was just like, I will wait until you have that kid, because I will not do this movie without you. His instincts were razor sharp on that one, obviously.
Yeah, it was a good call because she's fantastic. So
I mean, I would say she's more famous as Mary Poppins. I feel like Mary Poppins, even though it wasn't nearly as financially successful or critically successful, sure, but didn't win as many awards, it's still more resonant with people today than Sound of Music. But Sound of Music is still a gigantic hit. It's still like something that people reference. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Mary Poppins more of an iconic character than Maria the Nun, right?
Exactly. So, yeah. When you put it like that,
here you have Mary Poppins, and then now you have Mary Poppins versus the Nazis. with the sing along. But
the hills are alive with the blood of Nazis.
The hills have eyes. I mean, the hills are alive.
The hills have eyes.
That would be a disturbing musical.
Oh my god!
Let's not even go there.
Oh boy. But yeah, it's funny though too, because speaking of which, Audrey Hepburn was actually one of the people that were tapped to star in this film, The Sound of Music.
Okay, I didn't know that.
One of many. She wasn't like the only one, but she was one of many at the time, and they finally settled on Julie Andrews, and it's kind of funny how that works out, right?
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting fact, and actually, William Wyler was originally going to direct this film too, and they ended up, scrapping that and canned him, and then went with Robert Wise.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, he did a pretty good job overall.
He made a horror movie this year instead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Collector.
Oh yeah. But anyway, Sound of Music, what the hell is this thing about? It's about this Austrian nun chick who goes to this wealthy family. He's like a captain of the Imperial Navy of Austria or something, or he was. And she has to tutor all these 7 little children because they're nightmares to deal with. She ends up helping them all sing together because they're all pitch perfect. And creates a little choir, family choir thing, and then slowly over time she assimilates herself into the family, becomes part of the family, and then the Nazis come in and run them out of town.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's what the film's about. It's a musical Nazi picture essentially, and
yeah,
it's
heavy on the singing. It's a musical, so singing and dancing, light on the story.
Yeah, the music in particular was done by whatchamacallit, Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Rodgers and Hammerstein, exactly. Yeah, their score, fantastic. I mean, just unforgettable.
They're considered one of the best like songwriters in cinema. It's Broadway, I believe, as well. So it's just like I know them from their Cinderella adaptation. That was the very first time I heard anything from them when I was a little kid. And I saw the 1965 version of that. And fun fact, too, Julie Andrews was part of that production as well. I think I think they did a televised version of that, too. But that's not the one I saw. I saw the one that came after that with some completely different people. Not as good of singers. They were fine, but they're not Julie Andrews by any stretch of the imagination. So, but of course, they did Oklahoma. They did a bunch of other things, too. So...
I mean, the music in this movie obviously is what's most memorable, very memorable, and like we said earlier, The Hills Have Eyes, and you got Do Re Mi, and So Long Farewell, and then my favorite is These Are a Few of my favorite things. That's a great song. I think it's the best song in the whole movie.
I like the Do Re Mi Fa So song, and
but he's obviously had huge impacts culturally, and so I mean, a few of my favorite things. I mean, that's been covered, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times by artists over the decades. I can think of a few different versions. I personally like the cover by Sarah Vaughan. Her cover is, I think, the best. She was a super influential jazz singer, just super incredible, queen of bebop, and super awesome. Look her up.
She covered like the whole soundtrack, or did she cover just one song, or
just that song? Just a few of my favorite things. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, but of course, like the most memorable song is the opening song, which, when going into this film, the only thing I knew was just Julie Andrews just running up on a hill and just spinning around and going, the hills, all that stuff. And that's all I knew about this film. That I did not know anything else. And so when I booted this thing up, I was like, okay, when are they going to play? And then all of a sudden, and then she started warbling her thing. And I was like, oh, okay, they give it away that quickly. Okay, that's cool.
And then he was like, I've seen enough, and he turned it off.
3 hours. Hell no, that's good enough for me. No, man, you know me, dude. I go all out.
That's right.
If this is the first time you're hearing this, what I typically do is I go above and beyond, even though I don't need to. So this, of course, was based on stuff. So famously, it's based on the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, right? But that itself is based on a book. And it's based on a book called The Story of the Trapp Family Singers. And that was written by the matriarch of the family, Maria Augusta von Trapp. So that's I think about a 300, 400 page book, more or less. Yeah, interesting thing about this one, too, is that after she wrote that book, this spawned a whole slew of adaptations, believe it or not. A bunch of Broadway musicals, not just the Rodgers and Hammerstein, that's just the most famous one. But it also spawned 2 movies prior to this one. Both of them are German. A 1956 film and the 1958 film. So you would think, like, why would they do 2? Well, that's because the memoir, it's not particularly long, especially based on the books that I've read in the series so far, or attempted to read. But it's dense. It's packed full of details. There's so much stuff that happens in this family. It goes from them being in Austria, but then they leave, just like at the end of this film, because they leave. That's just how that film ends. But then you see them go to America, or in the book, they go to America, and then they're struggling. They're trying to do whatever they can for food. They do their little traveling act. They go around the nation, the United States, because that's where they, immigrated to after the Nazis infiltrated.
Pennsylvania or something, right? They were in Ohio or Pennsylvania or something
all around California and stuff. I think they made a pit stop in Texas and stuff. They finally...
They moved. They settled, I think, in one of those states.
No, they settled in Vermont. I think that's called
Vermont.
Stowe, I think is how you pronounce it. Stowe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the place that reminded them most of Austria. So they were like, it's very scenic, it's very hilly, it's got the mountains and all that stuff where they were. And they were kind of like hopping around, they were living in cars and stuff. And finally they found a plot of land with a farm, and that's where they resided. And to this day, there's a Trapp family lodge there that's still operated by the descendants of the Trapp family. So they made money all kinds of different ways, and they did all kinds of different things as well, not just singing. And finally, in 1949, that's when Maria was coaxed into writing a book about her life because, you know, there were so many things that happened. They were like, you might as well just tell the story. She didn't want to at first, but then she was finally like, I'll go ahead and write it. So she wrote it and it got published and it became a pretty big bestseller. Not like a huge bestseller, but it was noteworthy enough where people started approaching her and were like, hey, we want the rights to this book. We want to be able to make movies or whatever out of it. And unfortunately for her, she signed away the rights to the book adaptations for about $9,000 or something like that. So any subsequent adaptation, she did not get any residuals.
Whoa.
Considering the fact that The Sound of Music, the Julie Andrews one, is one of the top grossing films of all time.
Yeah.
That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it was massive film. Although interestingly enough, from what I gathered, people in Germany and Austria didn't really watch the film. And but it was obviously huge here.
Yeah, so, that's the thing, because the thing about that film is that it's very Disneyfied. It's not made by Disney, but it's Disneyfied. It's very Hollywoodized.
Hollywoodized, yeah.
Yeah, because like when Rodgers and Hammerstein were approached, originally the idea was like they were going to do one song and the rest would be filled with Austrian folk music, which is what the Trapp family sang.
I would have enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing. That would have been interesting, but Rodgers and Hammerstein were like, listen, man, if you're going to hire us, we're going to do the whole soundtrack. And then they were like, all right, fine. So they did. And honestly, it's not compared to all the other musicals we heard in this series so far. We got 2 left, by the way. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be the best one out of all of them. And I think there are 10 musicals that won Best Picture to date. And the music's just really that good. It's really enjoyable. It's touching. It's heartfelt. It's really hard to hate the soundtrack, honestly. And I've heard, West Side Story, and that's very famous and stuff, and people love that soundtrack. That's very forgettable. This soundtrack is not forgettable. But
I think there's an argument to be made. I mean, this is definitely probably the most memorable, I would say, at least with the most amount of like singles in the score and the soundtrack. But I don't know, musically, like in terms of singing and lyrics and stuff, maybe I don't know if the music, I think some of these other films had really great composition. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously one of the most popular, if not the most popular musical of all time.
It's definitely up there for sure. But yeah, I mean, I could say it earned it for sure. But in terms of the music, though, because you mentioned the folk music, well, here's the thing. Like I mentioned, there's those 2 German movies that were made prior to this film. And somehow there's also an anime adaptation of The Sound of Music, believe it or not. Okay. Or it's actually based on the book, really. But yeah, and there are 40 episodes of that as well.
When was that released?
1990, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah. 1991, actually. But still, it's very interesting, right? And guess what?
What?
I saw all of it.
You watched it?
No, actually. I did not watch that TV series because that shit, I'm not going to deal with that.
He loaded up Crunchyroll and he was like, I'm going to watch the whole 40 episodes.
I would have too, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And that's okay. I saw the intro. That was more than enough for me. I did, in fact, see the 2 German films, though.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so, and they're free to watch on YouTube currently. And here's the thing. All the folk music is there, or at least a lot of the Austrian folk music is presented in that film. And it's very good music for what it is. And, the choir element of the family is very, very impressive, at least how they present it in those films.
Yeah.
So, is it as good as the soundtrack in this film? I would say we're comparing apples to oranges, I feel. It's like it's good music, but this is also good music. It's a different kind of music.
Right.
It's just like, it's hard. It's really hard to compare, honestly. Yeah. I would say that if I were to pick, I'd pick this film, the one we're about to talk about. It's just more presentable. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just more earwormy. It's more pleasurable to my ear because it's the kind of music I associate movies with. You know what I mean? It's what I come to expect. But it's not to say that the Austrian music in those adaptations is bad. No, it's very good for what it is too. The movies themselves, those, if you combine the 2 of them together, it's about 3 hours long as well. It's not a musical per se, but there is singing in them. And I say that if you combine them because they do cover most of the memoir. Whereas The Sound of Music, this movie, it only covers the very beginning of the memoir. It does not cover their time in America and the stuff that happens there. It's strictly just set in Austria. So
Yeah, I'm sure they took a lot of liberties. I know that the actual events, a lot of them are quite different. Like they didn't actually travel like that to escape, right? They just took a train out of the country. The movie, it's like they traveled through the Alps, like it was the mountain in the Fellowship of the Ring or something.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
ridiculous. 300 miles.
They didn't portray it like that exactly, but they didn't have to travel over the Alps like that. That's not true. I mean, what if they added those hurdles, and what if they threw in the Mines of Moria in there too, or something? I don't know.
Oh my
God. Why not? But there's some other things I remember reading about. There was actually 10 kids, not 7. It was 7 from his first marriage, and then 3 with Maria.
Yeah.
And
they
were married.
Yes.
They were married for a decade before leaving the country, leaving Austria.
Yeah, it took a while.
In the movie, of course, it seems like it's like the same year. So
yeah, that's pretty much right, because I did read the memoir as well, and it's a very, very good book. As a matter of fact, by the time I got to the end, I was like, is this a real story? Like, I got an inkling that it was, and then I looked it up after I finished the book, and I was like, oh, this is a memoir. I thought it was a fictional book. It's also probably full of shit, if I'm being honest. Like, in reading this book, like, because when I was reading it, I'm like, oh, this is a really good story. Here's a turn, here's this and that. It had all the hallmarks of what you expect a good story to have. And to find out it was a nonfiction book, I was like, I don't know, man. Because here's the thing. Like, one of the things in the book is that while they're in Austria in the beginning, they go out in town and they're like in a restaurant or something. This was after she was newly wed to the captain guy, the Baron. And then everyone's just like talking in the restaurant area, and then everyone's silent. And then she looks over, and right next to her, or right across from her, is Hitler and his little officers. They just arrived, and they're causing a scene, and they're laughing, and Hitler fell off his chair in laughter because of some jokes they were saying. And then they're like, we must go. I can't be near this man. And they left, and I was like, sure, lady, that totally happened. And everyone clapped when you left, right? And another thing, too, that I didn't believe, but I actually looked it up, and apparently it is true. They did live in a big house. It's not as big as portrayed in the Julie Andrews film, but it was a pretty big palatial estate because Jorg, it's written as George to me without the E at the end, but it's pronounced Jorg. He was wealthy because of his stint as a naval officer, but also he was married to some other lady prior to Maria, and he got a lot of the wealth that way. So he got this 2-story or whatever it was house.
Those kids are all from his marriage.
Exactly.
With, I don't remember her name. I think she died from scarlet fever.
100% correct. Yes, when she was 31 or something. But when they fled the country, that property was apparently intercepted by Himmler, one of Hitler's top officers. Yeah,
right.
And supposedly he set up a room just for Hitler in case he happened to stop by that part of Austria. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But it is factually true that Himmler did, in fact, take that for those purposes, for Nazi stuff, planning and whatever.
Yeah.
So when she came back after the war was over, they found out all this history and stuff. And then eventually that original homestead was converted into a church or something, at least at the time when she wrote that book. I don't know what it is now, but they, they never moved back. They stayed in Vermont for the rest of their lives, Yeah. And also a couple of other interesting facts too is that Maria, in this movie, she's presented as a very charming woman. Oh, I'm here to help. I come from a nunnery. I'm here to help with the children and help them sing along. And, if there are bad things, you just sing and things will be better. In reality, she was a temperamental, bitch. She had a very bad temper. And when things didn't go her way, she would scream and yell. But then a few minutes later, she would come back and everything was fine as if nothing would happen. That's according to one of the children. Her name was actually Maria, one of the little kids. They changed her name in the movies just so there's no confusion. But she's in the memoir. We're introduced to little Maria as the sickest one in the family. Like, she came in, she was supposed to help just her, but she ended up marrying into the family and she got better. And as a matter of fact, the littlest one with that name Maria ended up being the last one to die.
Okay.
So she died at the age of 99 in 2014. But she was interviewed and she was told, like, yeah, that lady had problems. It was nothing like the movies you've seen. I mean, we tolerated it, but no. So it's just like, wow. So little things like that. But if anything, though, based on all the books I've read so far, this one's definitely one of the best ones. I really, really enjoyed reading this book, regardless whether or not a lot of things were false in it or not. It just seemed kind of embellished, but it was a very entertaining book nonetheless. I would put this at my top 3 so far in the series.
Wow, okay.
Very, very good. It's not as good as Gone with the Wind. It would have probably been just as high if it was a fictional story. But because it's supposedly based on a true story, I'd put it at maybe number 3 or so, or maybe number 2. Like, highly recommend it for anyone who's interested in reading it. But anyway, enough with all that stuff and all these different adaptations and whatnot. Let's talk about the actual film. So, yeah, like we mentioned, 3 hours, man. Did it really need to be this long?
No, definitely not.
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, and that's.
I would say most of these movies don't need to be as long as they are. But,
yeah, I agree. Like, this was exhausting to watch. We watched it in parts, like in 2 different days. You saw it all in one sitting, or you did the same thing?
One sitting. Yeah, I think I took like a 10-minute break for like the intermission or whatever.
Yeah,
I've seen it before, but a long time ago, and I remember maybe about half the movie I remember. So it was good to watch it again. But yeah, 3 hours is not easy.
Yeah, I know, because especially seeing those other 2 German films where if you were to combine the 2 of them, they really tell a good chunk of story in that amount of time. Whereas in this one, they really take their time. And that's because they dedicate a lot of the shots to the musical numbers. That was like the main prerogative for this film, being it, it's a musical and all. So, so that's not really a bad thing per se, because that's what you're getting yourself into. I just felt that it did rob a lot of the potential of the film, because when you read the memoir, you look at the other adaptations, you realize there's a lot of rich stuff that could have been put in this film. Like I thought going into this, like, oh wow, I can't wait for them to go to New York. I can't wait to see them struggling or go around the country and they're singing as they're doing it. None of that happened. And I was like, really? Yeah. They did that Lord of the Rings thing, as you mentioned, and that's the ending. That unrealistic, like, oh, we're going to thwart the Nazis, and I'm like, good for you, I guess. But that's a weird way to end the film, I think. So,
yeah, I mean, the only complaints, it's a good film, but, the story is pretty weak. There isn't much development there, or little. I mean, I think they could have utilized more historical context and elements into it. It is what it is. It's a musical, though, and that part of the film is good, and Julie Andrews obviously is really damn good. And,
oh, she's so good.
And even though I saw it in a great quality here at my home and with my headset on, I mean, I can imagine how incredible it was to see it in the big screen back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely this is a film that you had to see in theaters in order to really fully appreciate it, because this made beautiful use of wide shots. Like, we've seen films that made beautiful use of wide shots also previously in the series. I think most famously, this film could be maybe compared to Lawrence of Arabia, with the way of using those extreme long shots and being on location for a lot of these things. There were probably some sets here and there. Yeah, that's where they were. Yeah.
Austria, Salzburg, Austria.
Which they do a lot of tours now for, people that are big fans of the musical, which at first the locals were like, screw this movie. And they're like, screw these tours as well. It's just like, tourist crap. And apparently, like, when it comes to these tours, they were getting all the facts wrong when it came to the behind the scenes. Like, they would just make things up. So they were like, tourism money, and we can't complain. So and I think,
ultimately, I thought, I can imagine. I mean, this movie is eternal. This is ingrained, permanently. So it's, much respect to it. And so, but yeah, she's great. She's phenomenal. And I thought Christopher Plummer is all right. I'm a fan. He was a great actor, Canadian, and definitely the role that catapulted his career as well, actually.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
It's I don't think it's one of his best performances.
He's done so many films,
but he's done so many films. So I mean, I can name a lot of them. And in fact, some of the movies he did towards the end of his life, he only passed away a few years ago.
As of this recording, 4 years ago. Yeah,
4 years back, and so he's great actor. And he I think I read that he used to call this film The Sound of Mucus. he was very critical of the film and his character, and being very one-dimensional, and but I gather that his opinion changed over the decades, but he wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, I could kind of see why, because they had to make him sort of the antagonist, at least for the first part of the film, because there was no real antagonist until the Nazis came marching in. That's how they decided to structure this thing. So he was the naysayer, like, my family will not be entertainers. They will not be singers. In reality, he didn't really care. He actually encouraged his kids to sing and stuff.
In real life, they were already, from what I gathered, they were already extremely musically inclined before she even showed up.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what I read that online. Like they were already,
yeah, exactly.
Into music.
So she was just more instrumental in helping them all go to competitions and eventually becoming a family troupe, singing troupe. So, but yeah, like, she wasn't really the main person to come in. That's why there's a lot of fictional elements to the film, and that's been said time and time again, which is okay. It's a Hollywood movie. You're not going into this as a documentary. I think when Robert Wise approached Julie Andrews, I think it was her, he was just like, no. He approached Maria, the lady who's the basis for this. He went to her and he was like, yeah, this ain't no documentary. We're just going to make some stuff up. Is that all right? And she's like, I signed my rights away. You can do whatever. I don't care. But I don't think she said that. I'm just making it up. But there was nothing she could do, but they did have a talk about it. And she's actually in the film, The Real Maria, during one of the musical numbers. That's when Julie Andrews packs her stuff up and she's going straight to the trap house in the very beginning of the film. When
she's leaving the monastery or whatever.
Yeah, there's like I don't know what you call it. There's like an arc doorway thing. She comes outside of the village area or the city area, and there are these people that are behind her as she has these bags of luggages. That's actually her, one of the daughters, and one of the other daughters of one of the other people, Wagner, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think he's the pastor or whatever. He's one of the characters in the film, but the real life daughter of that person. Yeah. So.
Oh, I had no idea. So they did go back to Austria to be there for the filming.
Oh yeah, no, of course they did, yeah. But I'm
saying the actual Trap family.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, well, they were there for sure. The whole family probably. I didn't look too deeply into it, but they are definitely in that scene. They're in the film.
Interesting. Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah, and then there was a little bit of a promotional thing that they did too. There's a clip online that I saw of Julie Andrews and Maria. And Maria teaches her how to yodel properly because apparently she didn't do a good job in the film. It was very critical, apparently, to her face in front of many people.
Wow.
But it goes into the kind of person she was based on other things I've read about her. I mean, they were a famous singing group, probably because she was very militant. I would imagine she got everyone into shape. You're going to sing like this and you're going to do this and that or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. Served them well.
Yeah. Random fact, but you know who hasn't seen this film? I mean, we were talking about him the other day. Tarantino. Guy who's seen like every movie and knows so much about film. He's actually never watched this movie.
It's interesting. Well, maybe he doesn't like musicals, right?
That might be. Yeah, that might be the case.
Didn't he just release like a top
20
I'm pretty sure films of the 21st century, and most of them are garbage or something or weird?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. He's entitled to like whatever he wants, but
exactly, yeah. But look, I mean, this film, obviously huge impact, pop culture, cultural footprint, right? I mean, I respect a lot of things about this film, and especially Julie Andrews, and obviously, like I said, I have some issues with it in terms of the story and other things I would have liked to see in the film. But either way, it's in the elite club when it comes to musicals.
Yeah,
arguably the best. I mean, that's what many people feel, and it's a very, very important film, obviously. And when it comes to movies about a nun in Austria who finds a family to sing with, it's definitely top 3.
Yeah, especially because there's so many of them, right? There's like a drama, there's like a cartoon, there's a comedy version. I love the comedy personally. I just like it when she flaps her wings and she flies into space.
Exactly,
the flying nun in space, but. Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in this film is actually the marionette scene. That's really cool. I've never seen that before, the way they use the marionettes when they're singing.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, that is so intricate. That really impressed me. So
yeah, agreed.
But there are a lot of scenes in this film that are like that. There's some scenes that are clearly on sets, but the sets are so beautifully lit. It's so picturesque. I would imagine some of them have matte painting backdrops and stuff. They just look so beautiful.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, there's some actual, scene. They were on set for a lot of this stuff too. So it's just so beautiful to look at. They did a great job, and that's why, if you were to watch this in theaters, oh my God, this would have been absolutely amazing. And I think that's why it became such a resounding success, because people were all like, The music's great, but you have to see it in the theater. It's just so beautiful to look at. So
Yeah,
sold a lot of tickets.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's, especially that year. I mean, usually I always mention other movies that came out that year. Thunderball came out that year, so that's
There you go.
probably my favorite film in that year. 65. What was it? I think Red Beard was 65. That's a really good Kurosawa film. Obviously, when it comes to horror movies, there's quite a few. 65 wasn't the best year for horror movies, but there's a couple good ones that I could think of. But
you can say this film if you don't like musicals.
Yeah, but either way, this very important film and very enjoyable, and I don't think I'll ever watch again.
Probably same with me too. Here's the thing. I think we're going to get into ratings. I would like to rate this a 7 because it is a very good film, all intents and purposes, especially for the kind of film it is. I'm not a musical guy, but it is really worth watching. This is very much a family film. This is like an event film, I guess you could say, for certain people. There's some people that watch this every year. They have sing-alongs. It's like Rocky Horror Picture Show, where people show up in costume and they sing along to it and stuff. I remember there's a chain called the Alamo Draft House, and they do that. They would host this film sometimes, I hear. So it's very interesting. But I as much as I would like to give it a 7, the length really kills it for me. So I would give it maybe a 6.5. It would definitely be a 7 if it wasn't nearly as damn long. It didn't need to be this long.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, but I think 6.5. I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, I know some people probably give this movie a 10 or a 9 or something.
Probably, yeah.
And I just can't do it. It's a good movie. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I would rate, if I were to rate a film that high, it's because I would love to see it again. That's how I rate films personally. Like we just mentioned, we're probably not going to see this again anytime soon. So, yeah. It's good for a one-off, though.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those films you just should watch it one time, at least once.
Yeah, and you won't regret it. All right, guys, and that is The Sound of Music. So, the next movie, thankfully, it's a play. It's only about 130 pages, more or less, probably less than that. I have an inkling what it's about based on what I'm reading, but haven't seen the film yet, so we'll see what it's all about next time.
It's a very historical film coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys like The Sound of Music, let us know in the comments below. What song is your favorite in this film? There's so many to choose from.